This is the Goat Canyon Trestle, the crown jewel of the storied Impossible Railroad. In this video, we'll be showing you views of the amazing railroad leading through the Carrizo Gorge to the trestle, as well as views of the structure itself, and we'll talk a little bit about the railway and its history. Now, there are several ways you can get to the Goat Canyon Trestle. Most popular is by either hiking or biking along the rails from the south or the north, which will take you on a 12 to 16 mile round trip from either end. Of course, there's always a rail cart. Another way to get to the trestle is to take some sandy desert roads outside of a town called Ocotillo, California, and hike from a place called Moreto Palms. From there, you'll take a 6-mile round trip hike over the top of the mountains. This route is extremely difficult and exceedingly beautiful. This route drops you in from above the trestle and gives you a great view of the Carrizo Gorge. So here is the Goat Canyon Trestle. First off in the distance there, you could see what's called the Seven Sisters. There's 7 smaller trestles straight ahead through the Goat Canyon Trestle as we're looking now. As you look up there too, you could see some broken handrails and things and broken boards here. But this is supposed to be the largest wooden curved railroad trestle in the world at this point. It stands 180 feet tall. I believe it's around 750 feet long and is made entirely of redwood. And they use that redwood because of the extremes in the desert here. Got really hot for expansion and contraction, because the temperature could get cold at night as well and really hot during the day. But also the steel would have been really hard to handle in those conditions and to put it together. Here's a little flyover showing it again. There's steel walkways on either side of it, which were put in a while ago, and there's that curve there. So around that curve, I suspect they had to hit the brakes on the train, and that is the reason that we will see in a minute. They had a fire suppression system. Up on the hill there was a tanker car with the hose coming down a hose line, and they would keep water in that car for any sparks from the brakes or anything on the train that was sparking down onto the wood, that they would be able to take care of it and have water on standby in case it caught fire. There's the next tunnel here. You can see there's a cave in, so those tracks are covered. So as a consequence, obviously, it is not in use. The railway is not in use, needs a little maintenance. There's a bolt there on the trestle from the expansion over the years, is a little bit loose. However, it still looks all in pretty good order, largely. There are broken boards, but it doesn't seem, and I'm no engineer, but it doesn't seem that there's anything structurally that's really out of order. Some handrails up on top, or some rails on either side that are broken, but no real rot or anything like that. Looks to be in pretty good order. Well, there's some boards there, some planks that are rotted that you might want to watch walking on. There's some good old graffiti on there from 72, about 50 years old at this point, the time of this recording. So it's been a popular attraction for some time. And going under here, you could see those big redwood pillars that hold it up, 5 across. Again, 2 of them on either side of the center one is splayed out. Center one is plumb, vertical. There's that line. I don't know if that was a line for wire or if that was part of that fire suppression hose. I think that's conduit. And so there's no handrail here. The handrails were broken, so there's no need to go further. But to the left there, you could see the old tunnel that broke or slid down in the landslide, and the right is the new tunnel that went through. So on the left is where the old one came out. Here we'll take a closer look. You can see how it's kind of cocked and a bit lower than the level area on the left. And you can see how much smaller a trestle it would need coming out of where it came out to get to where it was. There's a close look inside. Looks like they filled it in. And so from there, we're just going to take a look at these incredible railway. The beauty of it, the colors of the mountain. One of the most beautiful areas I've seen. And of course, that's open to interpretation. But yeah, what a neat place to be. You see the mountains off in the distance and look at those and think, man, how in the world would you put a railway through there? But they did it, sent out, I believe it was 13 surveyors back in the early 1900s. And they marked it off at 2.2% grade through the Carrizo gorge here, which is an 11-mile gorge. To make this railroad run, it was John D. Spreckles was the man's name who spearheaded it. And he wanted a rail line that would start in San Diego and run into the Imperial Valley, I think eventually over to Yuma for it was the San Diego and Arizona Eastern Railroad. So dotted along the railroad here is several other like mini trestles, same design as the ones that we saw before. Had those five legs sitting down, but just on a smaller version, splayed out there, and still in good order. But just so these flat areas that you see jetting out here as well, those could have been areas that were used for the workers. It was difficult to, with the railroad not being complete, it's difficult to get in and out of there. So they built small towns, I guess, or living quarters where the workers could sleep in at night after they got off of work, as there was, again, no rails in there just yet to get in and out, I suppose. So yeah, you just imagine back early 1900s, the equipment that they had, the difficulty that they had. First, to lay it out must have been something, but then to go through and figure it out at a good grade, and deciding where you needed tunnels, where you needed a little bit of bridges. You'll see these as we go by the other trestles. They're not very big, but I guess they figured they needed a trestle rather than to fill it in there. Here's some boxcars that are obviously derailed. We'll take a closer look inside here. Now there's other boxcars down the way that was a Coors Light boxcar. However, in my research, I'm unable to figure out what was in these, other than the name that they're Hydra Cushion and they had Fragile Freight in them. But who knows? A lot of wood laying around there. Again, looks like that redwood, same kind of wood the trestles were made out of. Laying through there, but nothing you could really see, except for some nice graffiti on the roof. So again, you wonder here why they didn't cut or just use some of their fill through here. They decided to put little trestles. I guess, they worked it out, the engineers worked it out, that's where it needed to be, rather than cut it in closer to the mountain. Maybe it was easier to build those and put those trestles in. I'm not sure, but interesting nonetheless. These are part of the Seven Sisters that you can see from the Goat Canyon Trestle, the big one. So we were able to catch it here as the sun was going down, so it gives good light. It really shows the reds in that mountain, shows the greens off. Everything pops and just gives you a better appreciation of just how beautiful, how absolutely beautiful this area is. So I'm just going to be quiet now and let you go on a flight through here and see the rest of the railway. And if there's any other questions you might have, there's a lot on this railroad on YouTube. that doing my research is just kind of overwhelming with the politics of it and things that happened, and during the war, how all resources, all the building was supposed to be shut down, but they were determined that this railway is critical for U.S. infrastructure, so it was, I believe, the only railway to get a pass to keep building through the wartime efforts and use the resources for the railway in the interest of the country. So that John D. Spreckles, the spearheader, went up to Washington, from what I've seen and read, and spoke with politicians there and got that open. So yeah, you can see here, that basically goes back around that rail there, if you follow it around through another tunnel or two, and gets into some flatter desert areas. But this Carrizo Gorge was the most difficult. I forget how many miles it was, but I guess overall it was how many? I forget what it said. A couple bunch of $1 million to build. I'm sorry, I don't have it with me how much it was to build. It was finished in 1919. The Goat Canyon Trestle was built, I believe, in the 30s, because that was the original design was working until the landslide that shut down that other tunnel, closed that off. So it was $18 million, 12 years and $18 million to get it going. It didn't run for very long. I think passenger service was discontinued in 1951. And, there's some videos out there of trains on it in the 70s and later than that even going through there. But it's difficult for maintenance. And I would imagine now there's been efforts to reopen it. Just imagine, just looking at this as a side thought, that's about 180 feet. So you could, that trestle there, you could imagine how big these mountains are as a scaling it off of there. They're huge, just difficult to get up and down. So what an effort. But yeah, that's about it, I guess. I forget what I was saying. So we're gonna go with that. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. And leave any comments that you have. It'll be much appreciated. Give a like. Thanks for watching.